If I could give an Academy Award to the peskiest light tank in Tier 10, I would have to say that the T100LT checks all the marks in that category. What's good, everybody? It's your boy Tico on Blitz, back at it again with another video. And today we are going to be taking a look at the Tier 10 Soviet Tech Tree Light. Like I said, the T100LT. And I do really mean that this is the peskiest light tank due to the levels of aerodynamicy it features. It actually, surprisingly enough, has one of the fastest power-to-weight ratios, sitting at 33.5, with a top speed of 68 km/h forward speed and 25 km/h reverse speed. Along the lines of that, this vehicle actually has, surprisingly enough, one of the best camo values for a light tank. Although that camo net basically resembles tank destroyers more beneficial, it pretty much takes advantage as apart from light tanks, surprisingly enough, as well. And if I were to provide an example, the most rat tank destroyer in terms of camo factors is none other than the Object 268, to which you can see it has a 1% difference than the T100LT. I mean, how freaking insane is that occurring on this? I mean, it pretty much just makes the game unfair because literally this thing could be going towards any bush, and its concealment levels can basically make it to a point to where within a certain vicinity it can't be spotted. I mean, that's how freaking insane the vehicle is nonetheless. And in terms of what the armor profile looks like, it's got 120 mils on the front of its turret and 65 mils on the front of its hull. And in retrospect, this is what it looks like. A lot of troll spots that occur on the turret right here, and a lot of angled bits to where if you are unfortunate to hit him in any of those spots, when it's basically relying on his maneuverability and somewhat its agility factors, then you're pretty much going to bounce this thing without a doubt. I mean, it's that stupid in terms of its physical armor profile. Especially like what a lot of players like to do is they like to kind of use their maneuverability levels to the next level, pretty much by jumping over ridge lines, and pretty much an example would be something like this, where a lot of players tend to hit the upper plate by accident, as it is even more space at an angle like this. Like I said, for an example, is jumping over a ridgeline, or basically just being the average pest just by pretty much baiting the enemy in terms of if it's going to poke or not. To which this is 187 mils of space armor, which against 308, I mean, what the heck, bro? That is absolutely stupid occurring on a light tank. And because of the levels of aerodynamicy this vehicle features, pretty much resembles the trollness bits that occur within it. And in terms of what the side of the vehicle looks like, the side of the turret is upwards of 68 to 69, and then the full-on side is about 40 millimeters. And then for the rear, the back of the turret is 41, and then the rear, where the engine deck is located, is upwards of 40. Somewhat HEs can cut through the back side of the turret right here, and a very small bit to where the engine deck is primarily located. Along the lines with the insane DPM levels that this vehicle features of 3,261 with a 5.7 second reload time, and for the fact that this is a really rare case scenario that would occur on a Soviet vehicle, it carries premium AP, having 308 millimeters of premium AP pen, 254 on the standard, and 54 on the high explosive, combined as well with an average damage of 310 on the standard, 260 on the premium, and 420 on the high explosive, combined as well with a very good 2.8 second aiming time with 0.277 dispersion. And it carries two mechanics: concealment on movement, of course, it doesn't decrease while moving, and it also carries the tracer shells mechanic, which basically means if you do end up, whether you pen or bounce a vehicle, they are going to be spotted for a longer expectancy period of time than what it is normally, 20 seconds as opposed to 10 seconds. And I have a replay right here that I caught not too long ago indicating such purpose, and I gotta say that this was a very awesome battle. And you can kind of see right here a prime example of the dream matchup for a light tank. This is against all heavies and tank destroyers, to which we are going to be going over towards light tank side and medium side, and we're going to be benefiting ourselves using our solid maneuverability to get right on into the front line, and then rely on our very good aiming schematics to the best of our ability, and spotting mechanics, I should also say, because that's what the T100 also has, is really good spotting mechanics, apart from its insane concealment levels while in a bush. So we are going to be moseying on up, taking advantage of our maneuverability. We can already spot a ton of heavies already off towards the side, like this enemy E100. We're aiming on in. There's 338 damage already out of his vehicle. And like I said, this is where the deadliest portion of this vehicle comes into play. But we already spot the enemy 263. But look at that. We haven't already been spotted yet, bro. I mean, like I said, that's how freaking ridiculous this tank is in terms of that. You basically have tank destroyer levels of concealment levels to where certain stuff can't really spot you in terms of what their view range has going for it. So we already got spotted by the enemy super conch, so we wanted to mosey on back just in case. So then we're going to use our concealment levels to the best of our ability right there, and we spot the enemy 263. We get a pesky shot into his vehicle, didn't get spotted from him, and that is how you take advantage of your concealment levels, as now, all thanks to the 183 helping us in the long run, he is now out of the game. So now we're going to head right on over towards this enemy super conqueror over here. And we're pretty much just going to get a big farm out of his vehicle right here. To which the 183 is pretty much going to get a nice solid tap into him. I mean, he fired an HE, but we did the same. But we, surprisingly enough, out-traded the 183. And then this is the deadly factor of this vehicle, just relying on that deadly DPM right there. We are just farming damage left and right, and we are baiting the crap out of the Super Conqueror with the insane levels of maneuverability that this thing features. And because of that stupid power to weight, you can kind of see, like that, once again, Super Conqueror misses both of our shells. That's where you can get away with the agility schematics to what this vehicle has going for it. It's just that crazy to even think about. So, just like that, 2 vehicles already out of the game. Let's go ahead and take care of the rest of the flank. Rely on our maneuverability factors to continue moving forward as we took care of most of their enemies. So, I want to try to see if I can outspot anybody that's going to be lurking on out towards that side. But I continue moving on forward because so I can get a better glimpse of all the enemies that are lurking on back over there. I did get a slight bit of the mouse, but I wanted to continue moving forward so that I can get a better glimpse of his vehicle. So now we got the enemy mouse right off to the back. We're going to fire a premium AP for 252, reloading again, taking advantage of our DPM levels once again. Unfortunately, that shell missed. I don't really know how, but the good news is we got very solid DPM, and we're just going to wait for one of these guys to back on up maybe, but that's not going to be the case. I'm going to continue moving on forward. I'm not that much of a time waster in terms of waiting, so we're going to get some nice solid taps into this E100 right over here. We're reloading again, and just like that, out of the game. Beautiful stuff. So now we're going to focus our attention towards, oh, we got an IS-7 right there. We got a nice tap into his lower plate for 305. We're already past 4,400 damage right now, just like that. And when we do farm out this enemy mouse right here, we are going to exceed our levels, surprisingly enough, up past 5,000 damage. I mean, that was an unfortunate bounce, but still, guys, this is where this vehicle comes deadly in terms of what it's capable of doing. Like I said, the dream matchup. They had nobody going towards medium side except for just a single tank destroyer, and this is where you can take advantage over every single aspect, just relying on that concealment levels of camo net on this vehicle, insanely enough for a light tank, and basically getting away with the most rat of scenarios. And just like that, that was just an instant farm fest right there. 5,332 damage, basically just relying on our maneuverability for the most part, and getting away with the most of rat schematics, hiding behind bushes, not getting spotted. I mean, this vehicle just takes things to a whole nother level in terms, or in the hands of a skilled player specifically. And, without a doubt, an instant top on the team in that regards. Well, now that you got a glimpse of a good replay, let's go ahead and get into a live battle then, and let's see if we can maybe put up just as good as a performance, or something along the lines of that. So, the thing about the T100, to which the majority of the player base, or some average players, kind of mistake, is the fact that you do have very good maneuverability to get into the front line at the most rapid period of time, but you gotta kind of be careful while doing that. You don't really necessarily know which part of the map certain tanks are going towards, which means that you gotta kind of take an educated guess, or if you kind of just over-aggress, because that's not what this vehicle is meant for, then you're pretty much going to get outspotted and pretty much dealt with by a certain flank. So, we're going to go ahead and demonstrate such purpose in a live gameplay. Let's see what they got. They have a 215B, they have a Prague, And it looks like that is, surprisingly enough, the only medium we have. We have a 62A on our other team. So what we're going to do is that we're going to mosey right down over here. We're going to hide behind this bush right here, and then kind of rely on our concealment levels to maybe see if we can get some nice taps into some of these enemies right over here. We're just going to wait because apparently this vehicle doesn't really have that much gun depression right here. It's only 5 degrees. It's due to the aerodynamicity to what it features. There's that prog off to the side, and there are enemies over towards base B. So what we're going to do is that we're going to rely on our maneuverability factors and go straight right on over here, maybe towards the enemy base right over here. That prog is already being dealt with, which is really good. And it looks like there is a tree that was knocked down right here, which basically means that there could be some enemies that are lurking nearby. Well, unfortunately, that is not the case, so we're going to go ahead and mosey our way on up just a little bit. We got nobody spotted over towards that side of the map, so we're going to kind of rely on our maneuverability levels once again. Let's see. They basically have a lot of their stuff over towards the far back side of the map. So what I want to do is kind of take advantage over that and mosey my way all the way around over here. Well, it looks like they have an AFK 183 for the most part. So I'm going to go ahead and get a quick farm into his vehicle. I could honestly care less about a AFK vehicle for the most part. So we're just going to go ahead and continuously farm out this 183. Make sure that nothing is coming behind us in the long run. All right, we're going to get another tap into you. And we're going to go ahead and get another tap into you. All right, beautiful stuff. All right, so now what we're going to do is that we're going to mosey our way right around over here. Object, I would appreciate if you don't get into my way, good sir, which is really good. All right. So now what we're going to do is that we're going to go ahead and rely on our peskyfulness to kind of get right behind the 60 right over there. Unfortunately, missing that shot, but that's totally all right. We're going to mosey on up just a little more. We're going to get some nice farms into this enemy 60 TP, firing our premium for 268. Reloading again, he does get tracked in the process, so we're going to go ahead and slap another shell for 345, and then we're going to continuously mosey on forward. We're going to try to see if we can maybe get some more nice taps into this enemy 60 right over here, who he's going to be right here out in the open for us, so that way we can get a nice tap for 305. And then we're going to continuously mosey our way right around over here. We got a couple enemies who seem very healthy, so we're going to go ahead and use our peskyfulness to get all the way around over here. And then let's see what we can do apart from that. So we're going to go ahead and hide on into this bush right over here. We do got the enemy waffing off to the far back side right over here. So we're going to kind of rely on, I was going to say rely on our bush mechanics, but that unfortunately is not going to be the case. Waffen does fire twice, so we're going to go ahead and mosey right on in towards his vehicle right over here. Could honestly care less if he does end up pecking me off continuously. Also got this enemy T110E4. Unfortunately, he does get cleared, so we got the back of the Waffen. 393 into his vehicle. Reloading again. Oh, yeah, this is pretty much just a farm fest apart from our half. 495, bro. Oh, my gosh, that is insane. So we're going to go ahead and finish off the enemy Waffen right over here. And then we got the enemy Type right off to the side. We're going to go ahead and get a side shot into him for 314. Bait him in the process. And then we're going to go right on up over here. 313. I mean, this is just the sheer levels of DPM to what this vehicle features. It's just absolutely insane. Farming out damage to the best of our ability. This might be another 5,000 damage game. Oh my gosh, this poor 260 is having a little bit of a tough time trying to hit this guy. And yeah, just like that, another 5,000 damage game, bro. What the absolute heck? I mean, well, it was basically like farming an AFK for the most part, but I can't really complain about that, as their enemy team pretty much over-aggressed towards one single side, but we did take advantage of that using our maneuverability advantage, doing another 5,000 damage game as apart from that, and another instant top on the team in that aspect. Alright, well, this pretty much goes to show that light tanks in the current meta are just insane, bro. I mean, the sheer levels of DPM that they feature, the concealment levels that they have, I mean, bro, a tank destroyer can't necessarily compete with that, bro. I mean, this thing just takes peskyfulness times 100% to a whole nother dimension, bro. And I cannot believe the fact that a vehicle like this has this sheer power of capabilities. And, I mean, I have nothing else to say as apart from that, so hopefully you guys did end up enjoying today's video on the other hand, and if you did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, and make sure to turn on those bell notifications while you're at it so you do not miss out on any new videos or streams, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Peace out, y'all.